The Variable Climate Biosphere is an invention whereby a fully controlled life support system is conceived for extended stays on the Moon, on Mars, or underground on planet Earth. In a biosphere, vegetation produces oxygen humans need, and we exhale carbon dioxide plants require. Back in the 1980s, macrobiospheres were constructed and intensively used by both Americans and Soviets. However, they were abandoned and ended up on the scrap heap after the space race between Soviets and Americans ended. Research became mostly limited to experiments on tiny micro life support systems conceived for the International Space Station experiments. Recently, the dream of humans staying on the Moon and on Mars resurfaced, with Elon Musk launching the idea of 1 million human colony on Mars. An idea that was strongly supported by the late Stephen Hawking for the sake of creating a backup civilization capable of surviving cataclysms on planet Earth, like pandemics, meteor impacts, solar flares, nuclear warfare, and others. When the first detailed images of Mars arrived, scientists became aware that there exist enormous volcanoes. Say volcanoes and you say lava tubes. Due to the laws of physics and the lower gravity, those tunnels and caves on Mars are as high as cathedrals and hundreds, if not thousands, of miles long. This inspired Penny Boston of NASA to use such caves as a pre-existing shield to protect astronauts from lethal radiation, from extreme cold, and from lasting dust storms. By sealing them off, one can create enormous biospheres on Mars and on the Moon. A great idea, but it is often neglected that such enormous self-sufficient biospheres require massive vegetation, including shrubs and trees. In smaller bunker-like enclosed environments inside a cave, such as our Variable Climate Biosphere, this is indeed perfectly feasible. During the coming decade, a human base on the Moon will be a stepping stone for colonizing Mars. There exists a serious challenge in sealing off these caves, in particular on the Moon, since those caves are simply enormous. Plenty of health issues have been reported in fully controlled environments and in space, for instance, sleep problems in orbit. Looking out of the ISS, an astronaut can witness sunrise and the sunset several times a day, the effect of which on the inner body clock is not to be discounted, though for too long it was. Light was, until recently, a simple lamp emitting one single light spectrum. It took till 2016 before this was fully recognized and addressed, since the spectrum and intensity of the newer LED lamps vary and can create a pre-sleep and a wake-up mode. Notwithstanding these improvements, life on the ISS is Spartan, circumstances under which no one would like to spend the rest of his or her life. If the intention is to have 1 million humans to reside on Mars, we better make sure the circumstances are safe, extremely comfortable, and, why not, pleasant. This requires us to mimic as close as possible conditions from planet Earth in outer space habitats, including different climates. Vladimir Köppen classified climate in zones. He took into account the varying temperatures, humidity, and rainfall, as well as varying light duration, which is the solar exposure, and light impact in accordance of location on our globe. The Köppen system was perfected by Rudolf Geiger to become the universally recognized Köppen-Geiger climate classification system. This classification is very complex, with many sub-classifications. We have limited our research to some main locations for which algorithms now exist: Singapore, Miami, Naples, San Francisco, Moscow, Shanghai, Chicago, Paris, and Seattle. Light is crucial for wellness because it helps to regulate the circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is in principle a 24-hour cycle that regulates the body's internal clock for carrying out essential functions and processes. Most important is the sleep-wake cycle that regulates the hormonal system. Strangely enough, this clock is not set on 24 hours as we mostly assume, but on 24 hours and 11 minutes, which puts it somewhere in between the rotation of the Earth and Mars. being 24 hours and 39 minutes. On Mars, the Moon, or even underground on Earth, the variable climate biosphere can mimic a 24-hour, 11-minute cycle, thus respecting the natural circadian rhythm of humans, which can only have beneficial effects. It is true that till now, there is no light system that accurately simulates sunlight. However, some systems come very close, such as the GLEX lamps. Apart from the intensity of light, these lamps simulate the angle of sunlight and the spectrum variations of any given place on Earth, insofar that one can see the sunrise, move to its zenith, and finally set. For growing trees and shrubs, we use batteries of LED lamps that simulate sufficient sunlight over the day, the season, and over the year, according to the chosen geographical location. We should be aware that the extreme light frequencies, such as deep UV and deep infrared, are not reproduced, neither are they necessary for our purpose, and in fact they could actually be detrimental. In the variable climate biosphere, it is possible to make rainfall via a sprinkler system, whereby the rainwater quality of planet Earth can be perfectly simulated. Breezes can be created, which can help pollinating certain plants, but for pollinating flowers or fruit trees, our partner Magix is developing nanodrones. Astronauts have been complaining of foul air in the ISS, as reported by Kelly in his book Endurance. Far too high levels of carbon dioxide are sometimes present. Nothing is reported on nitrogen levels though, whilst healthy air consists of 78% of nitrogen and just over 21% of oxygen. The fresh outside air we enjoy so much is a great source of microorganisms for maintaining our biodome. Microorganisms differ from location to location, but can be always simulated, even adding the appropriate fragrances, pine forest, or iodic smell of the sea. In prototype containers, we have been able to recreate these environments under fully controlled conditions, including airflow. We have used lava granules as substrate for the simple reason that lava is bountiful on both Mars and on the Moon. In prototype growth containers at Urban Crop Solutions and Paratus Group in Belgium, we were able to prove that lava substrate is substantially better for growth than any other of the commercial used substrates. With multiple crops per year, the absence of pesticides, and the extremely reduced water usage, only 5%, we produce several excellent crops per year instead of one. All of this knowledge is in the public domain, as well as described in Turning Water into Food by Professor Bruce Bugbee. The research made for the variable climate biosphere has led to major improvements in the field of vertical farming. Urban Crop Solutions now proposes complex farms whereby each unit is dedicated to a specific type of climate. As a result, it is possible to have simultaneous harvests of the most diverse greens and herbs. Our next step is to grow shrubs and trees, as shown in the following renderings, mimicking a tropical and Mediterranean climate environment. Such sizable gardens are being planned in the Hagerbach Test Gallery near Davos, Switzerland, by the Swiss Underground Space Experiment Project. The aim of this project is to prepare for long-term stays on Mars, on the Moon, under the best conditions possible. In the short term, these underground paradises can be shelters on Earth to help survive the cataclysms predicted by Stephen Hawking. Under a more optimistic view, they will allow mankind to produce food using zero land, with zero waste and zero carbon dioxide emissions. There will be ecological self-sustaining habitats replacing the disastrous megacities and land occupation we have created. Under this vision, infrastructure, factories, offices, logistical facilities, but also farming to a large extent can go underground. In our paper, the full description of the variable climate biosphere is available. For us, it is a first step, not just in making outer space habitation possible, but also develop underground space use on this planet. Thank you for your attention, and even more so for your future support.